Okay guys, so today we're carrying on with our discovery videos, basically reviewing the episodes. If I'm honest, there's not a massive amount to really cover in this episode. It felt more like a kind of filler episode. It kind of moves the episode or the series along a little bit, but nothing with any real significance, really, to be honest. There is one thing that happens that kind of adds to the season, but the good majority of it really is just a filler episode. So this is episode 8 of season 3, and it's titled The Sanctuary. Again, the title's not really even that imaginative, really, to be honest. I'm sure this has been used before in a Star Trek episode, but anyway. So, in a nutshell, the basic way I can put this is the Federation Booker receives a distress call or something to that effect. They don't really explain it too well, but in a nutshell, he finds out they're in trouble, and this call basically comes from a planet called Kashan, which you find out is Booker's home planet. And he explains that basically they had a plague on the planet. Sea locusts come out of the sea and started eating everything. Famine started, and because obviously at this point the Federation wouldn't have been around, they struck up a deal with the Chang, which obviously we know they're the big bad, if you like, and that they've run out of the repellent that the Chang gave them to keep away the sea locusts, which sounds lame just saying it, to be honest, but anyway. And they're due to get some more, so the Chang's going back. But you in a nutshell, Book talks the Saru and that into helping. They go and see Admiral Vance. He agrees, but they'd have to do it in an observatory, in an observation position, because if they attack the Chang, then that would bring war down on the Federation, etc. So they're basically told that they're just to observe. So they go along, and basically the long and short of it is that Book originally had a different name, and that the guy that he's dealing with on the planet, he refers to him as his brother, but he makes it quite clear they're not blood brothers, you know. That they'd been friends for years, etc., but then they had a falling out because of something he'd done. So we find out as the episode progresses, that later on, the brother, Kahim, had struck up a deal with the Chang that he was going to get hold of the Andorian, and then she then makes it clear that she also wants Booker and Michael. So it's looking for a while like he's going to turn them over, and if he don't, she says she's going to attack the planet. In the meantime, Discovery are thinking of taking up a defensive posture, but then realise that if they do, they're going to plunge the Federation into a war. So Tilly comes up with the idea, what if we had a pilot go rogue and use another ship? So basically she gets one of the crew to get in Booker's ship and then go and attack the Chang vessel. Only it was all for nothing, because basically the Chang at the end of the episode pretty much declare war on the Federation anyway, so it really made no difference really. But and obviously Book gets all nicey with his brother again, and because they're empaths, they push the sea locust back to the sea, which is all really lame, because you would have thought, well, why didn't you think of that before? Obviously Discovery plays a part. It amplifies their signal, which is how it works, but it all just seems a bit contrived, to be honest. And at the end, Booker, says his goodbyes to his brother, says he'll run into him again at some point, and then he makes it quite clear at this point he wants to join the Federation. So that's basically the long and short of the episode. That's the main plot thread. But the other thing that happens in this episode is you've got there's a bit of dialogue between Adira, Tilly, Stamets, and Saru in engineering, and you find out that they've found basically the point of origin for the burn, and there's music coming from there. And then Saru notices, I'm guessing because of his hearing, because of the race that he is, he notices there's like an underlining signal, and when they isolate it, they start to realise that there's possibly a Starfleet vessel stuck in there. And he then says, can you... He asks them to do something, and Stamets says about them working on an algorithm that'll help them. But the part of this conversation that stuck out to me is the part where he refers to Adira as her, and she doesn't like that. And she turns around and says, can you refer to they or them? I don't think of myself as a her. Now, in the context of the story, obviously we know that she's got many different lifetimes within that symbiote, so that makes sense, you know, that she doesn't identify herself as a single person. To a certain degree, that makes sense. Although I'd argue that Dax was never like that. But anyway. The thing that annoyed me with this bit was it seemed like once again they were trying to push some sort of agenda in there. It seemed like it was aimed towards people who don't identify as either male or female. It seemed like they was trying to, you know, hint towards that. I didn't mind it too much because to a certain degree it makes sense to the character, and I never have an issue with these things they put in, like these, you know, these agendas. I never have an issue if it makes sense to the story, because if it makes sense to the story, then why not? It's only when they shoehorn something in and it kills the story in the process just to get an agenda in, then I've got an issue with it. Now, with this, I didn't mind it, although it was very blatant, and I did kind of roll my eyes a little bit because I thought, oh, really? Like, but then it worked because you know that she's she's got a true symbiote, and that she's carrying many different lifetimes, so it makes sense that she wouldn't identify herself as just an individual person. So that I will commend them for, that they did actually find a way to work that in without killing the story in the process. So yeah, they did. It was quite cleverly done. I've got to give them props for that. I thought they'd done a pretty good job at that. So that was interesting. And the other thing that was going on in the background is obviously we've still got this problem with oh Christ, I forget her name now. The woman that come from the parallel or mirror universe. Giorgio, that's it. I knew it would come to me. Sorry, I'm very tired today. Like, I'm forgetting names and that. Giorgio, as we know, had an issue in the last episode. Or was it the one before? It was one of them anyway. One of the last two episodes where she basically sort of had a breakdown and completely blanked out for a while. Well, they're looking at what the issue is, and she's being her usual self, not cooperating, telling people that what would make her happy is if their head was hanging from her belt, you know, that sort of stuff. So, you know, being her usual annoying self. But there's a part where she takes part of the medical equipment and she goes off and hooks it up to the computer herself. And then she makes a comment that she's dying. So I don't know if that's her just jumping to conclusions or whether that is the case. But something's going on with her. And the good thing with this episode was that you saw the Doctor quite a bit again. So they are remembering that he is still in this. So that's good now. We've had like 3 episodes where he's played a fairly good role in. So it's nice to see a bit from him. But really, that's pretty much all that really goes on in this episode. Like, it's not a lot to it. It's not massively complex. It's, you know, let's go save that planet, and this is where the point of origin come from, and that's really it. There's not really a lot to it. I did appreciate the fact that it wasn't like one of the episodes we had earlier in the season where it was so packed full of stuff that you couldn't keep up with what was going on. It was nice because it was a slow pace. But the problem was it felt like an episode that didn't seem really that necessary, which, like I say, makes it more of a filler episode then, really, don't it? So, but yeah, I mean, obviously we're striving a little bit closer to the burn. We know there's an issue, or where it's coming from, the point of origin. Oh, and we also learn in this episode from the Andorian guy that Chang wants, that the reason she wants him is because he knows they're running out of dilithium. So we know that's an issue too. So that's something else that we've learned in this episode. But other than that, there's really not that much you can take away from this. It just felt like it was sort of plonked in just to stretch the story out a bit longer, really. So, yeah, so there's not really anything more to cover on this. It was all right. It wasn't the best episode. It wasn't the worst episode. It was just okay, really. So, anyway, I'm going to leave that one now. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe. And also hit that little notification bell so that you're made aware of all our future videos and live streams. And until next time, take care, stay safe. Nerdy Geezer out.